I think you guys can hear me. Yeah, I want to talk, Ron. I want to talk. It's just that I can never time these things. Nobody can. They're not designed to be timed easily. So I never do it right. But if if you guys can hear me, awesome. You guys can hear me good. Well, I'm back, guys. I'm back from my trip. Last week was a replay. That was the first time I've done it because I always try to do these things live. Not that I have anything against people that do replays, but I think this is way more fun. When we can interact with each other, we can have conversations back and forth, not just me and the guest, but the audience, And last week I was kind of disappointed. I said to myself, if I can secure some good internet, I'll do it, even if it's from a weird phone in a hotel. Hey, Cope, how are you doing, my brother? Good to see you. But the hotel had terrible internet. I was reminded of my teenage years with dial-up. I was like, oh my god, I can't even load a video. And I had to skip even on judging the open mic. And it was not the greatest. But that being said, there was a lot of good things about the trip, and I'm not going to complain about what happened. I got something taken care of that it was extremely important that I did. And I feel great. I feel great because I had... you could say a medical emergency that I postponed for a little too long, and it became kind of scary. So, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later because I think that trip was awesome. In many ways, it was. I had a lot of time to reflect. I had a lot of time for myself and away from distractions because I had basically dial-up internet. So I couldn't just be online, spending all my time on Discord. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We're here now. We're having fun. We're having a conversation. But I had a lot of time to reflect, a lot of time to ponder. Well, for today, guys, I invited Isaria to the show. And for a few reasons. For one, because I've been a fan of her music almost since I started on the platform. And for two, because I honestly think she doesn't get enough recognition for the musician that she is. Of course, she does a lot of curation, she does modding, she does a lot of things for Steam and for PAL. And sometimes I say this kind of jokingly, but not really. It seems like it's easy to forget the musician that she is. Sometimes I'll be listening to Backfill, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this song is badass. And I'll ask somebody, it's like, who's this? Oh, it's Isaria. It's Isaria. It happens quite a bit. So I figured, you know what? This is long overdue. We got to bring Isaria to the show, and we got to talk to her about her music. So tonight we're switching roles. She's the guest, and I'm the host.
Thank you. That's what a nice introduction. Thank you so much. That means a lot that you think that. And yeah, this is actually my first time as a guest, I think, on a show. So this is...
Yeah, you never are. You're always the one on the other side asking the questions and...
Yeah, it's because I like to stay under the radar and hide in the shadows for some reason. Hi, Anka. Yeah, I don't know why that is. I don't know. I'm hiding in the shadows.
Well, maybe it has to do with your persona. Well, yeah. Let me start right away as Isaria because, you know what? I say Isaria. Some people say Isaria. To me, it's Isaria. Do you have a preference or no? Not really.
Oh, yeah, I just said that, you know what, Clay, see, first of all, Shane got me sick, so my throat is sore, I'm having a hard time talking, and my brain isn't working. Yes, I've been a guest on Clay's Coffee and Philosophy show, so, yes.
Oh, that is true,
I know, yes.
So Clay was about to be offended. He was like that.
I know.
I'm putting...
you can't be offended, I'm just an idiot. So, yeah, it's funny, people always say my name in different ways. It's a made-up name, so it doesn't really matter. It's I used to use my real name online when I was doing music, but I got kind of like stalking situations where people actually found, because it was like my real name and stuff, and that was really uncomfortable to say the least. So I started just wanting to use it just a fake name, and so I like the name Isa. That's like a rune. It doesn't exactly mean a very nice thing. It kind of means frozen.
In what language?
Rune, like ancient. What they're like. There's like people used to have like rocks and they would carve symbols into
Okay,
them.
okay. Now,
Yeah.
I just remembered me knowing this from a video game, if that makes any sense at all.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They use a lot of like kind of like esoteric stuff like that in video games. Yeah. So Isa and then Aria just means song, or Aria is like a type of song or singing. So Isaria is the name, Isaria. So, but a lot of people call me Isaria. I don't really care.
You know, it's funny
You can
about
call me
that.
anything.
Yeah, I'll call you Saria. That's what I've been calling you, so I won't change it. But I want to know if you had a preference. So if
I
you don't,
guess
then that's perfect.
Isaria, or you could call me,
Isa.
dude or whatever. I don't
Nah,
know.
dude is weird. I always find extremely strange when girls call each other dude. I always find
I
it weird.
know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I'll like call everyone dude.
Yeah, but it always makes me go like, dude, but that's not a dude. I don't know. Me being silly. Oh, let me
Yeah.
ask you something though. Since we're on the subject of names, what do you think about the I guess you could call it the how genuine it is to use a nickname, or on how much it represents us? Is it some sort of shield? Is there some sort of symbolic implications there? Because I tend to think that our handles reveal more things that a name might, in a sense that, for example, I can almost say without a doubt that Agrode, real name was not chosen by him, for example, but Agrode does have does have some symbolic meaning to him. He used to play a lot of World of Warcraft, and we all heard the story
Right.
1,000 times. So
Right.
so Agrode in itself, the name represents him a lot more than his real name,
Right.
right?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Like I think sometimes I've heard him joke about real names, like call them slave names or something. And sometimes I think about that, like how funny it is that we don't actually choose our name. Like we have so many choices in life, and we've made so many choices in our own life with freedom. But the one thing we haven't chosen was our name. That was like chosen by our parents. So it's just kind of weird. But
And we
yeah,
can
I mean,
like him though, but you're right. This wasn't a
Yeah.
choice. Yeah.
yeah, that's weird. But yeah, I mean, and I've been on Steemit since June. And when I say I've been on Steemit since June, I mean every day, all day. I'm a little bit obsessed, as I'm sure most of we all are. And yeah, when I'm at work and I see my real name is Denise, and I see my name Denise, it looks weird to me because I'm so used to being online and seeing Isaria.
Yeah.
And I see Denise, I'm like, Denise. So it's kind of
When
a
you told me
weird-
your real name when you were here, for those of you who don't know, we had like a MSP PAL meeting in Florida, and so like
a PAL meeting, yeah.
yeah, Shane was also here. There was a bunch of us down here, and of course I live in Florida. Cubby lives in Florida, so we got to meet face to face, and it was awesome. There's plenty of blog posts about our meeting because it was just fun times. Oh, I think I see Crystal. Crystal just joined. So Crystal, if you can move
Yay.
yourself to actually, for some reason we're in the waiting room, but who cares? Come join us.
Oh
And-
yeah, we're in the waiting room.
yeah, who cares? We're here. It's okay. Nobody's gonna complain. And but to me it was awesome because you talk to these people, you start having this connection with these people, and you become good friends. Like I consider Clay a friend, but it was the
Yeah.
first time I met him, and it was almost like, okay, now I can put like a human being behind a consciousness, an entity that I already cared about,
Right.
and I it was a special moment in that sense. But that being said, I can't call Clay by his name. I never will, and I won't.
Right.
And I won't call you Denise, ever.
Right.
I just can't do it.
Right.
To me, it's not.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I know.
As a matter of fact, I heard Agrode's name once, and I deleted it from my head. I was like, yeah, I don't need that.
Right. Oh, I know. I couldn't call. When I met Agrode, I was like, listen, which name do you want me to call? Because he's like, there's several names you can call him. And he's like, well, I don't care. You call him. I was like, then I'm going with Agrode because you are Agrode in my eyes. I can't go away from that.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't even remember.
Krim
I
is
seriously
Krim,
deleted.
you know.
Yeah, same thing as Krim.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Krim's name.
Krim is Krim.
Am I allowed to say her name? I think I can say it. But Krim's.
I think she said it. Yeah.
I think she said it before. When it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I can't call her Gina. That's weird. That's not gonna work.
No.
Especially because there's a Gina bot, and it kind of looks like her, so it's even weirder.
I know.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm never gonna call her that. It's not gonna happen.
I thought that was her bot because of that whole thing. When it first came out, I was like, oh, look, Krim has a bot.
You're kidding me. Crystal, you're here. Awesome.
Hello, how are you guys?
Hi, Crystal. How are you?
I'm good. So sorry I'm late. I'm dodgy.
You're dodgy.
No.
I'm a dodgy Aussie.
No, we just started. We're just starting having the conversation. I gotta tell you, ladies, I know we're gonna play some music and we're gonna talk about life, but this show is the show of the no plan, so it's okay. We can do whatever we want. I had
no plan is the best plan.
It's the best
and
plan.
it works on our show too.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Please. We totally know about no plan, right, Crystal?
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if you
spend most of the time giggling.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever did
I
this,
know.
Isaria, on your show, but the first show I did, which was with Sound Legion, I actually wrote down some stuff. I'm like, okay, this is the questions I want to ask. These are the things. I'm gonna wait 20 minutes, and then we'll do this and that. I didn't do none of that stuff. Like we got so much into the conversation, I forgot the paper, and then after the show was over, I was like, oh shit, I wrote down a plan. And then after that I was like, what? Screw it. I'm not even gonna worry. It's gonna be whatever.
Dude, I know. I did the same thing when I first started the shows. I had this whole layout, and I printed out, and I'd give it to Shane. It's like, this is the layout of what we're doing, minute by minute. And it's like, forget it. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Well, to be fair, Isaria is awesome, and she does get our playlists organized for Steemit musicians. So she does do some prep for us.
Yes.
It's just
a
we
bit of prep.
do get a little distracted at times, and perhaps maybe end up not finishing all of the songs. So it's more we try to do stuff.
I know.
But it makes for a good show, though, Crystal, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Absolutely.
I have to say that I was away for this last week. I missed you guys. I missed being on Discord chatting with people. But at the same time, I think my time away was good because it also makes me appreciate a lot more things than I have in my life. You know?
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, some time away, some time for reflection. That is a good thing.
That's what I had the most. I'm saying this kind of jokingly, Isaria, but I'm also being 100% serious. I was an impromptu therapist for basically 7 days. That's all I did. I have a friend of mine. He's a really good guy who has been going through a lot lately, and all I did was listen to him talk and back and forth, as if I can fix anything. Obviously I can't. And what's really funny about that is that I remember as a child seeing my father do that, because my father is a psychologist. He's crazy, but he's also a psychologist.
Cool. Nice.
And when my father would do it, I would always be listening, because I would be on some of the sessions when he would have group sessions, and I would be listening, and I would be thinking to myself, man, this is such brainwashing BS, you know?
Yeah.
And then this week I'm listening to this guy, and he's a good friend, and I want to help him, and I was kind of doing the same thing. And it's not because I had some evil intentions. It was the opposite. I was like, yeah, I think I can help. I think this is what this person needs to hear. I think this is the things that this person hasn't asked himself. And so I was doing things that I thought to myself one day, this is ridiculous. And now here I am. It's interesting.
That is interesting. So you would listen to your father and you would think, oh, this is just a bunch of crap, listening to it. And then there you are, you were doing it, and you felt that you were really making a difference and helping, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a weird cycle, right? Like I don't know if it happens to girls. Maybe it does. Maybe when you're young, you see some things that your mom says or does, and you're like, well, that's stupid. And then as you grow up, you're like, I get it now. And then later on, you go like, no, I need to do it too. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah,
I'm sure that does happen. All I can think of right now is that I notice that I do things, and I go, oh my God, I'm turning into my mother. So.
I think everyone has that fear, and the fear is real.
But I'm sure I can think of something positive if I really if I try. But yeah.
Well, I have to say I don't agree with my father in 99% of things, but he's never been a stupid man. So it's almost like maybe I have to start to admit that some of the things that I disagreed with him were more of me being a rebellious teenager than me analyzing what content he was trying to give me. You see what I mean? So
Sure,
it's like,
yeah.
okay, no, that's not valuable because you're my father and you're older and you don't know crap.
Right.
And now that I'm older, I was like, well, you know what? That is true. I mean, I don't like to admit it, but it is true. And it happens more and more as I age.
I think that everyone sort of goes through this phase with their parents where they think they know best. Like, I think my grandmother had a magnet on her fridge that said, thank God I'm a teenager, I know everything and I don't need any advice from anyone, or something like that.
That's awesome.
That is so true. It's so true.
And I don't know, seeing that daily for years, I don't know if that sort of got drilled into my mind or whatever, but there's, a process of learning I think we all undertake where we question authority and we start to, take on our own independence in knowledge and life and stuff. And when we're teenagers, we tend to perhaps not do that in the best way because we're fighting too hard for freedom we think we need.
Right.
But I mean, there's always upsides and downsides, and I'm sure I've driven my mother insane. I'm sure I've been a pain in the ass and freaking ignored logical advice for illogical reasons.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, today I try and just I still don't agree with her on everything, but it's just the process of trying to ascertain what your motivations are on your actions and thoughts about things rather than just going for gold and not giving a fuck.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting as you grow up. I think I forget what age, maybe age 5 it starts where the independence starts. Then as a child that you're trying to become your own person, and it's just a slow progression of trying to be independent. And then I think when the hormones hit, when you're in the teenage years, it just everything gets out of whack. But yeah, it's just an interesting thing about being a human. When you're a baby, you're completely attached to your parents, and then you just start to slowly be like, whoa, I'm my own thing. And then you're a teenager and you're like, I know everything.
Exactly.
It's like, no, you don't.
But this is a good segue to go to why a lot of musicians get into music, because I don't know if it was your case, Isaria. Let me ask you this: when did you start songwriting? I mean, obviously you're a piano player, you play some guitar stuff, but you're really a songstress. So when did you start songwriting? Did you do it when you were a teen?
No, I did not. Actually, this is kind of weird, but I didn't start writing music till after I did acid.
Wow, that's interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah. After I did one experience, I started hearing music in my head, and that's how most of the writing process happens. I'll just hear stuff. I'll either dream it, or I'll just hear it. Sometimes I'll hear music far away, like in a different room, and I only hear like the bass line, and then I start creating my own version of what I'm hearing. And like I'll go into the other room and be like, oh, that was that song, but in the meantime I've made up my whole other song based on what I heard. It's just very strange. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was just kind of a weird thing. I mean, who's to say? I'm sure I would have started writing music anyway, because I went to college and I loved music, and I was always in the marching band, I was in jazz band, I'd been playing piano since I was 6. I just never sat down. I didn't have the type of, like when I teach piano now, I'm always, even from age 6 and up, I'm always about, let's try to write a song, because my piano teachers didn't give me that opportunity. I didn't even know that I could do that. And so like, I want to give that opportunity to kids, and even at age 5 or 6 to be like, look at that, you created your own damn song. That's amazing, you know.
That
So
really is a brilliant way of teaching, and I think you're right. Not many teachers sort of take that side on at all.
yeah, like my teachers were just like they got out a method book and they just paged through the method book, and I didn't really even learn like a separate music theory. I didn't even know what was going on until I went to college and I loved music, and I said, you know what, I'm going to major in music. So, and I'd been playing piano since 6, and I just said, because I was 18 and insane, I said, I'm going to choose classical guitar as my instrument. I'd never played guitar. I'd never even played guitar. So I majored in music, and my instrument was classical guitar. And, but yeah, after the one acid trip, I started hearing music in my head, and then I just started writing music. So
Anka's saying that that's the best show for acid she's ever heard. It's like, there might be some people walking away from this conversation going like, that's it, I'm doing acid. I want to be a musician
Acid.
too.
Acid works in many, many ways, people.
Hey, should we have a disclaimer? I think we need a disclaimer. I mean, especially after that conversation. It's like, what is the
Very
opinion
true.
of the host and its guest? It's not, you know, that whole thing?
right, yeah. This does
Do
not
your
mean
own
you should do acid.
We don't condone your drug use.
Yeah, do your own research on acid.
You do you.
Exactly. So
Oh,
that's
man.
interesting. You know, I have to say, I started writing music when I was a teenager to deal with some of that angst, what we were talking about. You know, that whole rebellion stage, me not wanting to be like my father. And I say this now, and I kind of don't like me when I say that, right? But it's like, no, I'm my own person, and I have my own thoughts, and blah blah. And so music, and first it was poetry, you know, because I wasn't talented enough on an instrument to make a song. But then when I was like 13 years old and I could play enough chords on a guitar and to do something, I was like, all right. And I wrote my first, I don't even remember what it was. It was probably terrible, but it was to deal with it. It was the way I coped with not being able to process my surrounding and rejecting my reality because I thought it was unfair. But so it's interesting that you didn't have that. To you, it was more like, oh, let me do acid. Oh, I listen to things. I guess yours is more healthy, I think.
Well, I went through when I was 16. It was just very strange. It was like a light switch went off in my head, and I became depressed. I don't know what other word, but, you know, I mean, like I've talked with Clay about this on his Coffee and Philosophy show, actually. Like, you know, what is depression? What does that even mean? You know, is it a chemical imbalance? They don't test for it, but all I know is that I was the most ridiculously happy person, just bubbly, like obnoxiously bubbly. And then when I obnoxiously bubbly.
That is a hilarious characterization, and I'm going to have to use it at some time.
You're so obnoxiously bubbly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I was 16, it's like one day I just woke up at some point when I was 16 and just depressed, and
like a switch just went.
Yeah, like a switch went off, and that's when you know, and if there's any disclaimer here, it's not all good, because that's where, you know, drug use started happening, because I was depressed. I was trying to self-medicate myself, and back then, you know, it wasn't as much as they are today with, you know, oh, here, take this antidepressant. It just wasn't like that back then. Like, you know, nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I did, you know, my parents knew there was something off with me, but they weren't like, let's get you to the doctor and get some things checked out. And so I just, you know, went off to college and just, you know, did what some college kids do, just drink a lot and do a bunch of drugs, you know. And so that's just was the path that happened, and that's where the acid came in.
And that's how the acid happened.
Again, this is not advice. This is not how you become a songwriter. But this is how it happened in her life.
I wouldn't recommend doing that to become a songwriter.
The first song you sent me, called "Out of Phase."
Yeah.
You know, now that you said acid, and I see the song, and I'm looking at and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm getting some of the inspiration. What is the song about? When did you write it? What is it inspired in?
Oh, here, Clay said this first. I guess around 16 or 17, about the time in our lives when we start to feel pressured to live the life our parents want us to live, or the life we think we have to live versus the life we know we want to be living. It's very true.
For
And,
sure.
and that's that whole thing, when you're a teenager too, that's what really comes out, where you're trying to be independent and you have what your parents want and what you're trying to do. It's a very rough time. I wouldn't ever want to be a teenager again. That was not a fun time.
Ron is saying that he got apparently he didn't get good quality acid because he's done it a bunch of times. And he's never written a song. so there you go.
I love it.
He didn't have the songwriting acid, I guess.
Yeah, Ron, you need to get the one. You need to get the right one. You got some cheapy one.
Yeah.
You got the imported kind. You failed.
But the song "Out of Phase," that is about more weirdness. This is why I don't like to talk about. This is why I don't talk about myself. This is why I hide in the shadows. So I was reading this really weird book called I forget the law. Well, it's basically about the law of attraction, right? That's not such a weird concept. But the book I was reading was called Abraham Hicks, and my boss at the time recommended this book to me because he had always noticed that it seemed like I was always kind of in a depressive state, and he wanted me to get into the idea of raising my vibration and like trying to change my thoughts to change my feelings, basically what the law of attraction is.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that he did that. But this particular book was weird because it was Abraham Hicks. They say something like they're channeling some entity called Abraham. It's very weird, but my boss was like, just ignore that part and just focus on the, he's like, try to ignore that weird part. So it is very weird, but basically it's just the law of attraction. And after I read it, I started thinking about us being beings that like from a source entity out in the universe, that there's some like source that we all originate from, and that when we pass on we go back to that source and then that energy goes somewhere else. It was just a thought process I was having based on most of the songs that I write. If I didn't dream them, or the music didn't just come to, like, I didn't start hearing it, it's usually just inspired by something I've read or like a movie I watched or something. So that was just inspired kind of by the law of attraction and just feeling like I was out of phase, basically.
Awesome. Now with that context, I really want to hear about this Abraham guy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Let's listen to the Abraham song, Out of Phase. Abraham inspired song. Anka's saying she's being silly. She's saying she vibrates on an Abraham frequency. All right, so we're going to do this.
I like rods.
Yeah.
I know. Dirty hippies and their dirt acid. I swear I'm not a hippie.
Look at Clay. My vibrator is set to jigulate. I don't even know what that means. All right, so we're gonna hear the first song of the night.
Having a vibrator.
The song is by Isaria, but her musical project is called Ruins of Isa, or right. Isa. Isa. Your choice. Ruins of Isa.
Yeah. Your choice.
Is it a recording? Yeah. Sorry, or play?
Yeah, this is a recording.
Yeah, so it's my sound recording. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna play this. I'm gonna move you, ladies, or actually, you can do it yourself because both of you have admin.
Yeah.
And here we go.
We
That was amazing. Not that I'm ever impressed with stuff that Isaria does anymore, because it's always great. There was a video. I'm gonna ask Anna to see if she can find it. Anka, there's a video that Isaria shared. I want to say it was at least 2 months ago, of one of her songs, a production that she did, and it was amazing. It's one of the best things I've seen on Steemit. And
really, thank you.
I told you, because when I found it, was it HZ? Somebody told me about it, and I went and I looked at it. I was like, what the? It was amazing song, amazing production. I really loved it. I wonder if HZ is here, because he's the one that he's the one that told me about it. He's not. He's fake newsing me. But you have a music video that you posted about 2 months ago. And it's an amazing song. And I told you, to me, it was your best one. To me. Look, HZ is here. HZ, do you remember the name of the song?
Was it like a real music video?
Yeah.
I saw one that was a real music video, and I couldn't fucking remember what the bloody song was either. I was trying to find it to add to the other Discord.
Yeah, I only have 2 real music videos so far.
Haha.
So
that will narrow it
was
down.
probably yeah, right. So yeah, it's pretty easy. It was probably 7 years.
That sounds about right. That sounds about
I'll
right.
see.
We might even play that, because I love that song.
Feel
I remember
free to send
I remember
that
being
to me
very
if you
impressed.
can.
Yes.
I was literally talking to Shane about this on the show on Monday. It was driving me insane, because I was trying to add tracks of everyone, and I remembered that I really loved this song of yours, and I couldn't remember a fucking thing,
Yeah,
because I have a dodgy brain.
Dodgy.
Yeah, it's an amazing song. I remember I left you like a crazy compliment, because I was like, wow, like this is like, it was very, very, very well done. Like the production, the composition, the lyrics, the video, everything was like, there was nothing I could say, hey, you know what I would have done here? Nothing. I had nothing to add to it. Leave it as is.
Wow, thank you. I mean, I guess it was 7 years. I mean, the other one is called Camera.
No,
I'll post
said
it in the
confirm.
chat.
Yeah, please do. Said confirm. That was the one, because me and him were talking about. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I also wanted to do the show with you, because it's like you're terrible at promoting yourself, Isaria, and I say that with love. You're terrible. And so I'm like, yeah. So somebody else got to do it for you, and I figured, why not me? I mean, it's genuine for me, because I am a fan of your work. I got you on my Gina bot, so every time you post music, I'm always listening.
Yeah, thank you so much. You're on my Gina too. Got you on Gina. Thank you so much. I posted it in there. I don't know, maybe I posted it wrong. It just looks like a big weird link. I'm not sure what just happened. Maybe let me try to post it again. But thank you so much. That means so much to me that you would like my music, and I am horrible at promoting myself, because I don't know why I like to hide in the shadows. That's why I never did anything with music. Like, thank you. It's taken me this long to get my own. Did you see why I don't promote myself? Because I can't even get my own damn links. Thank you.
Petchy's saying it's a phishing link. And we could play that next. Man. We could play that next.
Sure.
That is an awesome song. Can you do me a favor, Anka? Could you send it as a DM to me, so that I could play it out of the DM? Because that's going to be a lot better. That way I can control it. If not, the chat.
And I opened it, and that is definitely the one I think I was thinking of.
No, I recognize the
All I needed was to see that first moment. It's like, haha.
Yeah, that's the one where I used to live in New York before I lived in Texas. And I moved to Texas, I guess 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I don't know. But in New York, there are several old abandoned psychiatric complexes. And yeah, we filmed this one at the Kings Park psychiatric complex, which is abandoned, and just kind of broke into a building and thought, why not film in here? Why not? I don't know why.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do.
Good and spooky.
Yeah, and
My
and
niece
then,
is into that too. She loves like abandoned buildings. Like she's like, oh my god, there might be spirits. Let's go. And I'm like, why do you like that?
yeah.
I don't.
I know, right? And you know what? And you know what? I think that's cool too. There might be spirits, but there weren't any damn spirits. There weren't any spirits. It was boring. It was just dirty. But anyway, so we got footage there. And then there was the Pilgrim State Psychiatric facility, but it was so weird because when we went there, they were tearing that damn thing down. So we just went to the woods across the street and filmed in the woods, and that's where I got 10,000 mosquito bites. So yeah, there was a lot of.
I really liked the woods stuff. I thought it was like really trippy. So that's cool.
Yeah, it was. I got poison oak from that video shoot too. So
Oh shit!
I got poison oak and 10,000 mosquito bites. So all for the name of art.
Yeah, that does sound like fun. Anka's making a comment that I have to say I agree. What would you do if you break into one of these places and you find a body?
Oh, yeah, that would be the end of my exploration days.
But
yeah,
but what's even scarier? It's not finding an old body. Because if you find like a skeleton that's been there for years, you can maybe call the cops. If you want to, you can just leave. Everything would be fine, I guess. And if you were to call the cops, you would not be a suspect because it's been there forever. But if you find a fresh one, like let's say oh, this person was killed 5 hours ago.
Yeah, you'd be a suspect.
You're a suspect.
You'd be screwed.
Right? Like,
yeah, and plus you would have broken into that place, so you'd be breaking the law. Oh, that would be a horrible situation. I'm never breaking in anywhere again. You've just convinced me. This public service announcement: do not break in to old abandoned buildings.
It'll fuck you up.
I have my own breaking in story. One time, I must have been maybe 10. I broke into a house. This is back in South America. I broke into a house, and this was maybe 2-3 miles away from my own home. When we were kids, it doesn't happen anymore, but when we were kids, you were allowed to leave your house at 10 years old, even younger.
Oh, right.
I
was just thinking about that today. Like, at what point, and we'll get back to your story, I'm sorry, but aggro broke into Shane's house. At what point did that change? When we were younger, we could go out, like you would come home from school, say, bye, Mom, and get on your bike and come home at like 5:30 for dinner. Like, at what point did that change? Where everyone's on? Okay, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's a good question. That's something to debate with new parents.
Yeah.
But one of these times, I broke into a house that had been abandoned for years and years. I mean, I remember being 5 years old, 6 years old, and seeing it abandoned. And by this time, I'm probably 10, 11, still abandoned, and it was all boarded up and everything. So it was my friend Casey, my big brother, and I. We break into the house. We're like, all right, let's see what's in there. And there were squatters at the house, which is never a good thing because you could something could happen. That's one of the dangers of breaking into a house. You could find a squatter, and the squatter could be aggressive. But on this particular one,
that was my main fear about breaking into this place, because that squatters are in there as well as feral cats. But anyway.
Yeah, but I think I'm more okay with cats. Even if they're feral, that with the squatters. But so we broke in. There was a squatter in there, and he saw us, and he got all angry, and he left because we were breaking into his. I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see it. Into his house.
Into his house, yeah.
And then I noticed, to my dismay, that the floor was full of needles. Like used up needles and stuff. And I'm like, so I tell my brother leaves all angry. He's like, no, screw this. He's out. And my friend Casey, who lives here in Miami, by the way. He was from Ohio, moved to South America for some years, and now lives here in Miami. He tells we're kids, we're stupid. We're like, what is this stuff for? He's like, oh, I don't know. It's like some doctor shit. Like we did not put two and two together.
Doctor shit.
Yeah. And so I started playing with those needles. I grabbed a needle, and now I'm thinking back. It's like, oh my god, what an idiot, right? I grab a needle, break the tip, and I'm putting water in it, and I'm playing. Long story short, I ended up cutting myself really bad. Not with the needle, but with one of the little tubes. I don't know what the tubes were for that they had, because I was playing with them, and I broke one, cut my finger. I got taken to the hospital. Obviously, nothing happened because I'm still here.
Yeah.
But when my
Aw.
mom found out that I was at the crack house, and that's where I cut myself.
Yeah.
I never heard the end of it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine that
Oh
story.
man.
Why
Oh,
where did you cut
man.
your finger?
What? I was just at the crack house. What's the problem?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do crack, Mom. Don't you worry. I just cut myself with them crack pipes.
Oh man.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's
But I get
pretty
the thrill
scary.
though, breaking into places. I mean, it felt thrilling to get in there and hop the fence and all stuff. Not that I think I could hop a fence right now, but I have to admit.
No, and man, if there were any fences that I had to hop, I wouldn't have done that. At the big building at the Kings Park psychiatric facility, it's a huge building. It's very beautiful.
Mhm.
There's a big fence around it because that's the main building. I
Mhm.
wasn't about to go into that. That's the cool building, but please, I'm not going to climb the fence. And plus, I was wearing that whole, the outfit, for the video. Like I was going to climb a fence with that, and it would have been ridiculous. But I just went. There was a building 2 and building 3, 2 separate smaller buildings, and we went into building 2 because it was easy access. The back door was already open because someone had broken in. And then we also went into a house down the street. I guess they were houses where back in the day, the people that worked there actually lived in those houses. So we went into that, and there was definitely signs that there were squatters in there. And they were just out for the day, so we left very quickly because, you don't want to run in. You don't know what's going to happen, when you're running into a squatter. So.
Yeah, do you know that
For
by
sure.
by law you're not even allowed to remove them, like
Yeah, there's
you-
squatters' rights and stuff.
yeah,
Right.
this squatter. Yeah, that gets kind of complicated, and it's a subject for a long debate that we won't get into. But I have to say I don't agree with the law. I have to I have to say.
Yeah, that it always seems very strange to me.
Yeah, there are definitely bullshit circumstances with it. But in Australia, for example, there's a massive housing shortage. So to see houses go empty kind of defeats the logic to, not allow people that desperately need shelter to have it. So I don't know where the fuck I am on that one.
Oh, there's a housing shortage. That's weird.
Yeah, well, we have like a massive housing bubble at the moment. The housing market is 4 times the GDP of Australia, so it's pretty fucking ridiculous here.
Wow.
And yeah, that's why it took us so long to find a decent house and stuff when we were looking to rent. It's a bit of a bitch.
Wow.
I love how Crystal has she's like, yeah, this is me. Deal with it. This is how I talk. I love it.
Hey, I keep telling people that I'll try and tone down my behavior, and they're like, no, you be you.
No, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
If one day you were to go 100% like really PG-13 or just all ages, I would be like, Crystal, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are
I
you-
can do it. It's hard, but I can do it.
Well, not on the radio. I mean, you can do. I guess if I was like, oh, we're going to visit, I don't know, somebody. We're gonna go to the Sony label. We're gonna talk about, I don't know, something like that. I would say, okay, now let's tone it down. But if we're having a radio
and
show,
I'd try,
you know,
and that's
then
when I'd
screw
really
it.
fuck it up. Swear all the time. It's usually when I'm like really nervous or it's something important that I just let F-bombs slip, and I'm like, oh damn. Osbit's constantly telling me, he's like, you realize you just said fuck to the principal, right? And I'm like, oh shit. So yeah, it's not ideal all the time.
That's great.
Oh man, I'm always so afraid I'm going to say that in front of the kids I teach. I'm always like so monitoring because I'm so used to just dropping F-bombs all the time. It's just how I talk, whatever. And I'm so afraid that one time I was there, I was like, oh, that, like, I'm trying. Please don't say fuck in front of the children.
I have
I'm
to tell
really
you guys.
bad with kids, and I don't know if it's because mine are non-verbal, but like I would be stoked if my daughter, dropped an F-bomb, or my son for that matter. It's like, yes, victory, repetition.
Victory is mine.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have to
Plus, I
tell
also
you.
think it's really cute when little kids swear.
I have to
Yeah,
tell you,
it is.
I got in trouble a few times because when Pachicha was little, we have a big age difference. It's like almost 9 years between me and him. So when he was like 3 or 4 years old, I was teaching him bad words because it was so funny, and my mom would get so mad at me. I would teach him to cuss at us, and my mom would be like, "No, he's gonna go to kindergarten. He's gonna get in trouble, and it's gonna be your fault." And I'm like, "No, but mom, but it's funny because he didn't speak." We all had that, right? But Pachicha couldn't pronounce certain things, so like he couldn't say the word in Spanish, the word verga. It's a bad word, right? It means like dick, right? But he couldn't say that word. He would say venga. So he instead of saying careverga, which is the bad word, he would say cavenga, and to me that was hilarious. And I would tell him, hey, so, but they need to know what he's saying because he's not saying it right. No, they're gonna figure it out. My mom would get so mad at me because I was teaching him just say bad words, but he said bad words his whole life, and I don't know if he got in trouble. I doubt he got in trouble in school. Maybe they didn't understand him when he was little, and then maybe he got old enough to realize, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to say that because,
Well, it's good that you were teaching him.
Yes,
I think that's.
I agree.
That's what you get out of that. You were teaching.
Yeah, Pechi just said something, and it is also true. When he was a baby, But see, this was a learned behavior because my father had a horrible game. Horrible. It's a horrible game. So don't ever do this to your children. He would pin me down with my big brother. So my big brother and him would pin me down, and then he would draw like a clown on me with my mom's makeup. He would do the whole clown thing on me and all this stuff. And I was never able to take revenge because I was the little one. But then Pechi came around. And I was like, okay, it's my time.
It always happens.
It always happens. So then Pechi came around. It's my time, and I didn't want to go into my mom's makeup because I could get in trouble. So I used Sharpies, and I didn't know that Sharpies have lead. I had no idea. So when he's sleeping, and I'm drawing on him very gently so I don't wake him up. When he wakes up, he has like a horrible fever. He's telling my mom, I don't know, I don't feel good. She's like, who drew this on you? And I naively, I was just playing with him. Did you use Sharpies? Yeah. Oh my god. I got the chancleta that day. It was terrible.
Oh no.
It was terrible. He got taken to the hospital. IV,
poor Pechi.
The whole thing.
Oh.
He was poisoned.
Man.
I poisoned Pechi.
Oh damn. Oh wow! I didn't know that if you got that much permanent marker on you, you would get poisoned. Wow.
Yeah. Your skin absorbs the lead, and then and you get lead poisoning.
You poisoned Pechi.
I did. That's a terrible thing to admit, but I did.
Scratch for side. Yes, there you go. Yeah, Menno. Well, good. You know what? I felt bad before for saying I did acid. You tried to poison your brother, so...
Yeah. You got nothing on me.
Hey, my brother went through a series of trying to kill my sister as a toddler. So, like, sibling rivalry is something I'm very familiar with, and I'm the youngest, so I also copped a fair bit.
Oh, damn.
But I think my sister went off in a box. She went off in a box a lot of things. It's like he put her in a box and then he launched her off things like the top of a bunk, a top of a flight of stairs.
Uh-huh.
And he accidentally cut her finger off once.
What?
And he was actually listening to my mum telling him to do something for that. So that was... he was only like 3, so he was very little. But my sister was in,
Crystal,
those wheelie walkers. Yeah.
I need clarification. You said cut a finger off. Did you really mean?
Yeah, just the top. Yeah. She had to have plastic surgery and it put back on.
Shit.
Holy shit.
I also had my finger chopped off in a door, just like she did. But same finger, but other hand. Trippy.
Whoa.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, years later, it's fucking weird. But she was a really little baby in one of those like wheelie walker things where the kids can propel themselves around.
Uh-huh.
My mum was stuck at the other end of the house and she's called out to my brother, shut the door, because there were, again, the flight of stairs that he sent her down. if she'd rolled outside, she would have gone down a flight of stairs. So she's like, shut the door so she can't get out. And he happened to be shutting it just as she was running to go out it. And yeah, as he slammed the door shut, it got her finger. And yeah, so my family have had lots of disasters, usually caused by us kids doing shit to one another.
Oh, yeah. Children can be pretty crazy. I did so many crazy things, too.
Wow, the worst that my sisters, I have 2 older sisters, and the worst thing they ever did to me, it used to drive me nuts, though. When at night, I'd have on my nightgown, and they'd both sit on the couch, and they'd be like, Denise, go stand in front of us and turn around and start walking away. And then they would put their feet underneath my nightgown, so when I start walking away, I'd fall on my face.
Oh.
And I let them do it a couple times. I guess I forgot. Like, it's not like it just happened once.
Well, that is me.
Omni Taylor is saying, and we tell our children about stranger danger, and the enemy is on the top bunk. It's true. It is so true.
It's just funny because what you were saying about going after the younger siblings. So my brother caused most of my sister's injuries. My sister caused a lot of my injuries. Like, I actually still have a scar on my lip where I got hit in the face with a toy cash register when I was like 2.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I needed stitches and everything. And that's like the one and only time my sister listened to my mum. We were fighting over, this toy cash register. And my mum's like, told Amanda to let go. She did. And I smashed myself right in the face. Good and proper.
Wow.
Good and proper. Damn. And you saw the scar. Damn.
Yeah, it's really bad. I can't wear lip liner.
There's
I just start drawing across my face.
Sorry to interrupt you, Crystal. There's something weird going on in chat, and I need clarification because I'm not gonna let this one go.
I need it too.
Clay is saying that Isaria has the only child vibe.
Yeah, I want to know what vibe is that? What does that mean?
What does that mean? He's like, no, you just give the vibe. What does that mean? Like,
yeah, dude.
I need to know.
You didn't get fucked up by siblings, maybe.
maybe
I need to know what the lonely child vibe is, Clay. You're not getting off the hook for this.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We need clarification because.
Yeah.
Because I don't see it, so I need to know what he meant.
Oh, oh man, he's messing with me bad. Yes, I've met only children. What is that?
Listen, we're gonna give Clay an opportunity to correct his wrongs right here, and he's gonna have to clarify.
He's just digging himself in a grave.
I think so. Okay. I don't know.
Not sure if I believe that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I call it like I see it.
And Latino families, we have gigantic families. So I think the only thing we do right is procreate. So now when I came to live to this country and I started meeting a lot of like only childs, like only one kid, it was weird to me. I was like, well, that's weird. Because Anka can tell you, I don't even know how many cousins I have. That's how crazy my family is. Like all of a sudden, I'll be in a different city. I'm like, oh, this guy's your cousin. Yeah. You remember your Aunt Margarita? Well, that's the second son. And I'm like, what? Like that. Like everywhere I go, I have cousin, and it's not like the cousin sister's nephew's brother that lived next door. No, it's like blood. But in the U.S. It is not the case. It's pretty common. A lot of couples just have one child. And there's some conversations regarding the subject, some things that some experts, and I say experts, air quotes, you can't see it, say that is actually a problem because we're actually losing our cultural heritage, if that even exists, right? Sucks. If that even exists, because a lot of new couples, younger couples are choosing to not have children or have only one. So if you do the math, what ends up happening is that we end up being overtaken by a different culture that just that comes in and just decides to procreate and continue what they were doing back in their home country. Now, I'm saying this as an immigrant because I am an immigrant, but in many ways I think like an American. So I'm not gonna come here and be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start killing all the ducks around my neighborhood and eating them and none of that stuff. But there's cultures that come here and really impose themselves. Now, this conversation can go in for hours, so I don't even know if I want to get into it 100%.
Yes, get into it.
But it is a crazy thing to think about. Now I'm going to do a hard turn. This is considered a hard turn, something that Alex Jones knows how to do, which is he'll start talking about a subject and then he'll sell you a supplement. So we're going to do a hard turn right now, and we're going to go back into music.
Supplements.
No, we're not going to. Bitch, she's calling me a traitor.
Oh.
You know what I mean, bitch? You know what I mean? If I was to embrace the Ecuadorian thing, you know what I would be doing? I would be freaking killing all those ducks around here because there's so many ducks around my neighborhood, and to us, that's food. And I would be going to Walmart and getting guinea pigs and also cooking them. And I'm not about to do that.
The guinea pig bit is where I'm like, it just doesn't seem like a very big meal, you know?
Well, that's why you need a bunch of them.
Tiny.
You don't eat one guinea pig. You gotta cook 5 or 6. That's how it works down there.
Oh god!
I have a story about guinea pigs.
Like you're killing a lot more animals for the same amount of meat. That's all.
Yeah, you know what, Anka? I have to say, after this, we're gonna play some music. This is supposed to be a music show too, by the way.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew that. I don't know if the girls knew that, but this is supposed to be a music show. But Anka has not tried a guinea pig, and we've been to Ecuador like 5 times. I've taken her to Ecuador like 5 times, and we call it cuy down there, cuy. And she like the first 2 or 3 trips, she's like, okay, today cuyo. She'll call it cuyo. That was her way of saying it, and we never got to it. And now she's not even interested. But it's. But I think if I actually buy it, if I actually show up with a guinea pig, I think she'll eat it. She's the one to try everything, at least once. So she's not gonna be like, oh, that's weird. Guinea pigs are cute. I don't want to eat it. She's like, okay, I'll try it once. Maybe if I don't like it, I won't do it again. But I'll try it once.
I try things. It's just usually with more different food from what I'm used to. It's spicy, and if it's too spicy, I'm a pussy. So yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Oh yeah, it sucks. I can't have that. It kills my mouth likes it, but my stomach doesn't.
I love spice. That's like my favorite thing in the world. The problem with me with spice is that things are spicy, and I cannot tell. And I'll have a friend eat it, right? And my friend will be coughing. He's I'm like, oh shit, this has pepper.
So no, never take food from Menno. He'll try and kill me with spice.
Yeah,
but I can't taste it.
Menno tries to poison people.
That is my. Oh my god,
it's his MO.
That's getting crazy in there. I think good thing that Yedneth is not listening to this show or watching the chat, because I think that would break her heart.
Oh no! Yeah, please, we don't want to break you.
Yeah,
heart.
I don't want to.
You know what? Okay, one time I was out eating, and what is that stuff called? Wasabi? It's that green stuff.
Yeah.
Right? That was stuck underneath one of the things on my plate, and so I ate this huge chunk of wasabi by mistake. I didn't know, and oh man, I like my whole face, like I started sweating and just almost like blacked out.
Wasabi is next level as well. It's like it's completely different to other spices like chili and stuff, and it's fucking
it goes
insane.
Up the nose.
Yes,
I don't know
if
you know this,
to the
Crystal,
roof and throat. And,
but Russians love that horseradish, that wasabi.
Yep.
They love that stuff. So Anka sometimes and also my brother-in-law, they'll buy like a cheese that has like horseradish, like really strong. I can't eat that stuff because every time I do, because it's not like when I eat spice, when I eat Tabasco, like I'll buy Tabasco and I'll put that like ketchup on stuff, like just like ketchup, But the horseradish goes up my nose. It's not like it's in my mouth. It goes up touches my whatever crying nerves I have in my nose, and I can't stop crying. And and Tabasco doesn't do that. I can drink that stuff. I don't know what it is with horseradish and wasabi. So I have to take very little.
But like horseradish is probably one that I'm more familiar with. My grandfather was obsessed with it, and he'd like put it on sandwiches and stuff. So that I can handle, but obviously very, very, very small amounts. But it's funny, like it does.
It tickles the brain. Well, it's a super Russian thing to eat, so I guess I'm not Russian enough. I need to know more of the language to pull that off. But anyways, let's play some music though, Isaria, because we already passed the first hour and we only play one song. And I try to have this weird. This is my only rule for this show. The rest of the time, it's just whatever happens, whatever conversation. But I want to do at least 3 songs. So we're gonna do the second song now, and I want to do that song of that we were talking about, the 7 years ruins of Isa 7 years. This is the video that I saw a couple months ago show up on Steemit that I think, in my opinion, is your best work. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, one song per hour. This is a weird songwriting show. But you know what it is? It's like, to me, this show is really about knowing the person, So the music itself represents the human being, and the music is just some sort of, I don't even know if I can describe it. It's like the tip of the iceberg of that person. So when you listen to the song, after you've gotten to hear so much about that person, the things that a person has done, what that person has lived and experienced and believes in, you got a context that you cannot get just by listening to the song. So I guess that's the goal of the show.
And it's the shop talk side of things.
Yeah, but we don't talk about crafting it. We're like, so yeah.
But music is from individuals though, and their life and their experiences. So it is sort of about where it comes from in a way. Well, that's how I saw it.
I agree.
Plus, it's 100%. Fun to just chat with fuckers.
But fuckers.
Fuckers.
The fuck can be used nicely.
Yeah, that's. I love you, fuckers. Yeah, there you go.
And now here's the next fucking song from that fucker Isaria.
All right, here we go. This one's called 7 Years. Now the two choices is Am I Right or Am I Right? That song is freaking wicked awesome. And of course you guys are not watching the video, so you need to, after the show of course, not right now. You need to go watch the video because it's pretty cool, it's pretty clever, and the fact that it was done basically on an abandoned place with zero budget, it was just some people being creative, makes it even better for me because
it looks fucking awesome.
It looks awesome. It looks badass, you know. So when you told me no, like, yeah, there was not a stage, we just found places, like, man, it made it even better for me.
Thank you. Yeah. There's no budget. I mean, the reason why it looks that good is Adobe After Effects. So that video program, you can really do a lot of cool stuff in there. But yeah, the footage itself, there's no budget. It's just a couple people breaking into an abandoned building.
It's badass. It's badass. I wish I had I had the creative mind to do that. I've never had a. I'm not saying this because I'm jealous, by the way. I'm just pointing out that I've never had that vision to say, I'm going to make this song of mine, and here's what I'm going to do, and it doesn't matter that I don't have budget. I have the idea. Every time I think of a video, I think of stuff that can't be done. I think, oh yeah, then the camera's going to zoom out. It's going to fly all over the city. Stupid shit like that, you know?
Right. Well, yeah, sure.
That's the same with my story. Like, I see my story that I write as a movie. And so I see all this shit and I'm like, yeah, there's no way they're ever going to fucking make this into a movie. It's too full on. And now I have a phone call. Sorry.
Wow.
Oh.
That's sound effects, guys. That's sound effects. It's nothing. Yeah, it's part
There you go.
Go swim with a croc. That is a good idea for a video. Swimming with a croc. I could do it.
Yeah, there you go. Croc wrangling. I was just listening. You know, I don't listen to my music. Who, doesn't listen to music anymore? But you're like going to the audience chat. You know, when you first said it, I was like, oh, I don't need to hear my music. I've heard that song, let's see, about 1,000 times. You know, when you're mixing a song, so that by the time you're done mixing it, you're like, I never want to hear this fucking song again. But, it's like, and, I wrote, it took me 2 years to write it. It took me 5 years to mix it. No, but, but you told me to go in and listen with the audience, so I listened to it, and I was just reminded of how many damn tracks are on that. The people who I worked with hated me. We had a huge falling out for many reasons. Like, I write the songs, but I wrote the song, and I would come up with these crazy productions, right? And to me, the production part is just as important, if not more important, than the vocal, because I am not a vocalist. So that's just my perspective.
I disagree.
Disagree so heavily.
Okay, well, well, I don't see myself as a vocalist. I see myself as a composer. So when I'm writing this stuff, I mean, there were 180 tracks in that, which is ridiculous. Yeah, it's over the top ridiculous. But I hear this stuff and I'm like, now I want this weird sound that goes, like I'll hear weird things and I'll put that in, right? And then I'll be like, now I want a sound that goes more, and then that track goes in there, so that by the time it's done, there's 180 tracks in the damn song. And I would have fights with people, and I'd be like, but I want that sound really loud. They're like, but it's fighting with their vocal. I'm like, I don't give a crap. I don't care about my vocal. I care about the sound. So, I'm not a normal, songwriter musician. So when I brought all those tracks to the studio, those people looked at me like I was insane. They're like, you seriously want us to mix 180 tracks? I was like, please. So it's like, yeah. I mean, when you hear it and it's just so filled with
I keep on hearing things in the background. There's a piano that's doing a dissonance, right? And it's playing out of the scale and doing some dissonance chords, and I guess if you're not a musician, you might not pay attention to it, but I'm thinking it's like, man, it's like a flat 5. It keeps on hitting a flat 5, but it's adding tension, right? And but I can appreciate that as a musician, but to the average listener, and I say this not to put you down or anything, it's just an observable fact. Those things that we tend to focus a lot on go completely unperceived.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's almost like
nobody cares about that, and that's why. And this is part of why I kind of took a break from music, because I've spent so long producing the fuck out of these songs. And I know no one would hear that little sound that went, Nobody gives a fuck. Anyone, people that listen to music, they just listen to the vocal. And I don't blame them for that, of course. You know, that's what people are usually listen to. That's what songs are about, you know? But to me, that sound, those individual sounds were so important, and I wanted them in the perfect place. And I'm glad that I spent the time doing that, because that was for me. But that was the only part for me. Like, I understand that none of that is important to anyone else, and I understand that. That's okay.
Well,
That's okay if you don't care about my weird sounds. Please appreciate my weird sounds.
I definitely do appreciate your weird sounds, because they created such depth to the sound. These days, you know, often music can be, for lack of a better word, very thin,
Yeah.
and well, lacking, I guess. But that was really beautiful and full. And that's like when someone plays one instrument in open mic, I'm always going on about, oh, I loved how full that sound was with just, you know, a voice and a guitar, or a voice and a piano, or something like that, because it takes skill to fill a sound out, to make it sound like it doesn't need anything extra. But what you've created there is a full-on experience. And when you do watch the film clip, it just works perfectly with it.
Yeah, it's like
And,
soundscaping. That's what it
Yeah.
is. You do a lot of
Right.
soundscaping. So the idea of
Fully.
those instruments and those weird sounds, it's not really to add to the harmony or the melody, it's to add to the ambient, you know, so that
Right.
you can really sink into the emotional message that it's not
It's the
conveyed
feel
by
it
its
gives
yeah,
you.
but just by the lyrics, you know. So I get it. I mean, now I can stand on the other side of the equation as somebody who has mixed a lot of music. Not that I'm an engineer, but I have mixed a lot of music, and I have to have said that before. Like, you gotta be kidding me, when somebody has brought me. As a matter of fact, I can remember one specifically. Pechi and I have a really good friend. His name is Gilbert, and he has been mixing this album for a better part of 10 years. I've mixed
Wow.
his songs.
I know how that is.
Yeah, I've mixed his songs at least. You're gonna think I'm joking, but 50 times at least. His that album. But every single time I would finish a mix and he would take it home, he would come back and be like, "Hey, listen, there's a sound here that I don't hear anymore."
Yeah,
And
that was me.
yeah, so I ended up with him, and I love the guy, by the way. He's one of the nicest human beings I've met in my life. I ended up telling him I'm done, and I never thought I would do it because I love the guy.
Right.
But-
Well, you have to, and the only way you can do something like that is if you're getting paid for it. But yeah, if you're doing it as a friend thing, yeah, fuck that, because those people are insane. Those people are insane. I know that they're insane, because I am that person, or was that person. I'm not that person anymore, because I had kind of a breakdown from being that person. But yeah, there's a joke in the mixing community, is that the mix is never done. The only time it's done is when the carrier comes to the door from the label and says, "Give me the damn mix." You know, the mix is never done. You can always open that mix back up and be like, "Oh, I got to tweak this little part. I got to tweak this little part." The mix can go on forever. You have to stop the mix at some point. And you know what? I bet 2 years ago, I'm thinking it's 2 damn years ago, was when I tried to mix my last song by myself, because I took this to a studio, these songs you're hearing, and I had a professional do it, because even though I did go to school for recording engineering, I suck at recording engineering. And so I wanted a professional to do it. And so I don't live in New York anymore. I'm in Texas. We don't really have the money anymore. I spent all my money doing that. So I was like, well, let me try to mix my own song, right? Oh my God. I said, I'm going to take this week off from work to mix my song. It was a spring break at my school. I got done after 7 days pulling my hair out. I would bounce the songs down onto a CD and go to my car as a reference, because I didn't just want to trust one set of speakers, so I would use my car as a reference.
I think that's pretty standard, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a stack of CDs, and must have been 200 CDs that I had listened to. Yeah. And I was like, every mix sucks. It sucked. And I put it down. I bet if I go back into that song and listen to it, I'll be like, it sounds fine. Sometimes you have to step away from it. Your ears can't hear anymore when you're listening. And like, you know, like what your friend did and what I would do, I would be listening for those weird little sounds that no one is going to give a fuck about. But it's like you obsess over them. there's like a part of the OCD and neurotic sense that some people get when they produce their own music. That's why a lot of times in the industry, you have producers. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of times, all the time. Producers take care of that. You have a songwriter, they write their song, then a producer comes in and they add in all the bells and the whistles and stuff. I think sometimes that separation helps, because when you're trying to do it all yourself, you become insane. That is why.
Yeah, it's like that now funny but popular saying, you can't do it all unless you're Prince.
That is so true. And you know what? That's so funny you said that, because when I was little, he was my idol, and that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to write my own music. I wanted to play all the instruments. I wanted to produce it and record it, and I did. I got through all of that, except for I didn't mix it. I let someone else mix it. But to me, that was just the accomplishment in myself, that I said I wanted to try to do all those things. And I did, because Prince was my hero. And his actual, and we're coming up on his 2-year anniversary of his death.
Yeah.
Which, it makes me very sad. I'm going to post my little Purple Rain song as a...
You know what's funny about that story? And I don't mean funny, haha, like funny in a way that I don't buy it. Like, I not to say that I am for more regulation and all this stuff, but I am for accountability. And I don't want to go down this path and I'll get depressed and all this stuff. But the medicine that he was taking, the stuff that he was taking was like 20 times the recommended amount. And that's what he was getting prescribed.
Isn't that the same sort of thing that happened to Michael Jackson as well?
Yeah. It's like antidepressants and shit. Like, it's funny how these people that are very successful, right? Some people that like us little musical maggots, and I'm saying that I love you, Isaria, so I'm not trying to be
sure.
I'm just saying, like,
I'm a total maggot.
Compared to that, I'm like a maggot, right? I'm a maggot. Yeah, I have songs, I have albums and stuff, but I'm a maggot. You know, Prince is Prince, and but we think of them, we go like, oh my god, can you imagine achieving that level of success, having all those songs out? Prince has music that no one has ever heard, and he has hundreds of them. And videos that no one has ever seen, and he has hundreds of them. And you think of these people like, they have everything. Yet, it is obvious they were miserable. And you start to wonder, why? Like, are we not supposed to feel accomplished if we have done so much? Isn't accomplishment the requirement to feel accomplished? Aren't they accomplished? What oxymoron am I looking at? What am I being a witness to? But yet, they seem to be completely depressed. It's interesting.
Well, like my little theory on it, besides, a lot of them are controlled by managers and record labels and producers for actors and all sorts of different things, because Kurt mentioned Heath Ledger. And the point is that a lot of them don't get a lot of control over their life. They're very powerless, even though they're put out as these power figures. The contracts they have to sign. I know Michael Jackson had huge issues with Sony, and in the conspiracy realms there was questions as was he taken out because he was too much of a pain in the ass for the record labels? And someone went to prison for his murder, but who got him to do that? Was it himself doing that? Or so the motivations behind actions aren't always clear, but I just think that when we have these super amazing talented artists, we've got to realize that they're conveying emotion and stories in life, and that means that they've lived through these things usually to be able to display them in such an epic way that we love. And often that means, their lives aren't always that great, or their childhoods weren't, the most pleasant or whatever. And these issues carry on further into their life, and it causes massive issues. And just because you've made a fuck ton of money and you're on TV all the time doesn't automatically make you happy.
Right.
People need to be happy first.
Right. And can you imagine, just think for a moment, like I know a lot of people often think, oh, how great would it be to be famous? Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Think about how not amazing that would be because as soon as you walk out on the street, you have cameras in your face. You can't even go anywhere without a bodyguard. You have to have some kind of entourage surrounding you all the time. You can't have privacy. That's kind of a sucky life. I mean, for me, that would be a sucky.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, 100% for me too.
For sure.
As much as we're all like, wow, it would be great to be famous, these people, geez, it's like you don't get any damn privacy. And then to make it worse, the bullshit media and always talking about people, making up stories, and you try to go to the grocery store. Oh, great, I'm on the cover of some magazine, and they're saying some lies about me. Like, that would be a sucky way to live, I think. So
For sure.
That would be a reason enough.
Nathan is saying this is about a friend of his about being, I guess, too much of a perfectionist. How it shoots you in the foot. I have a good friend who's particularly talented and had a Universal wanting to sign him. He spent $50,000 on recording and mixing an album. Heard the first revision, brilliant album. Heard the 20th mixed, still brilliant. All the USA and Australia deals had interest had subsided. Album as good as any Jeff Buckley or any Radiohead album, but after 6 years still not released. He now works in an ice cream factory. Rarely gigs and only the small front bar dives. I think we call them dive bars over here, but I know what you mean. That's actually, it's such a common thing. There's a lot of, where does that saying go, Isaria? Like, you know the saying, because I'm sure somebody has said it to you before. Perfection is the enemy of how does that go?
Yeah.
Perfection is the enemy of creativeness. I don't remember, but it's
I know
something
what you're
along
saying.
those lines. Because sometimes.
But wait, so the guy didn't. Wait a minute. He's talented, and why wasn't he signed?
He took too long to give them the product they wanted to buy, I guess.
Oh.
It's a time game.
6 years to record. I don't know who would put up with
If
that.
the market's moved on, if they're trying to go for a different angle on things,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If you wait too long and your boot has sailed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but you know what? Whatever. I like the way I look at it is that it's like, just be happy. It's like, I guess I'm feeling kind of detached from music because after all I went through to I'm sorry, I just read a comment.
I'm gonna love that.
I got distracted. Okay. That M1 makes such funny comments. He made a comment the other day in a show, and I think I snort laughed. But anyway,
I'll have to find that recording.
Yeah.
Sample.
I got so freaking distracted. I don't even know what I was saying. Oh, but man, just like, make music and put it out there. We have Steemit now. There's Music Coin. There's ways to, that your friend Nathan doesn't have to work in an ice cream shop, but whatever. Put out music and play if you want to play in a dive bar. I don't know. But it's like, to me, it's just like label schmable. It's like, the labels have
It's
gone.
definitely going that way.
Yeah, because they lost so much money with the internet music and people taking the music offline. And then when everything went to MP3, and you know what? You make more money as a musician when you tour. And there's ways to make money with that. I have no interest in it, but if anyone is interested in it, there are people that will help sign you up to get on tours, and you can get, you have to pay some money, but just like anything, if you want to try to do something, but you pay some money and you get on someone else's tour, and you'll make that money back plus some. And that's how you make money as a musician. And then along the way, try to build up, it's the old fashioned way, build up your fan base, and then hopefully someone will buy some of your music. I think that there's ways to do it on your own where you don't need a major label.
I agree.
100%. And so much so now with Steam over YouTube, because YouTube wasn't really giving the money to people. I've heard so many stories lately of people who, have decent followings and put out a huge amount of content, and they're still not making any fucking money.
Oh, I know.
So it's, I see YouTube as, great for video storage, but if you come over here, encourage people to come over here, there's so much more incentive for fans to want to support people because they can get something back if they do it here.
Yeah.
And
And if we, as this grows more, I would love to see projects where we're all, banding together as musicians and building each other up and like getting our stuff outside of Steemit as well. Like a
for
big kind
sure.
of like Steemit label, stuff like that. I think that would really
There's
go
definitely
over well. I
there's
would love
definitely a
to.
potential
Yeah.
for that, and kind of what
Yeah.
Sound Legion has been doing is kind of
Yep.
along those lines, and
Yeah.
that's the first one that I know of, But when we start having competition, when somebody else starts to do that, when somebody else maybe even creates a community for Steam specifically for music, like when we go into the Hive and all these things, and then that becomes some sort of what mp3.com was back in the day, that or SoundCloud is today, those things, they could happen. They could happen. I mean, we're limited really by, well, there's a lot of factors, but the main one is really how creative we can be on the subject, and how like you were saying a second ago, if we can work together to find solutions to these obvious problems that we have within the industry, but it has to come from us, from the musicians, from the people that are creating the
Hundred
content, creating the
percent.
songs.
Right.
We can't expect a
Absolutely.
label to come save the day. Um,
Right. And you know what? It's never going to be as mainstream, but that's okay. Because the reason that something is mainstream is because of a big record label, because they have access to the major radio stations. But guess what? You know what? I don't listen to the radio anymore. I go online and I listen to, independent projects, and there's an audience for that. So I think it would work. But like Nathan said, I know his story wasn't about labels. Sorry, I got off on a tangent. Nathan, you are right though. Drawing a line to make sure your talents get out there, move on, write more, and release more. Moral of the story: do not be like Isaria. Don't take 7 years to mix something.
you were talking. Well, you were talking about like being successful and having money. I gotta share something about my trip to Brazil, because for me, this, aside from the fact that I got a tooth fixed, and I don't know if you know the whole story. I don't want to go into details, but long story short, if I didn't take care of that, I would have ended up like Rocky with a twisted mouth. But it's all
Oh
taken care of. I'm
man!
good. Yeah, it was about to hit my nerve. It was pretty
Freaked
crazy.
me out.
I
Man.
had to have
Whoa,
surgery,
wait!
bone scraping, you name it,
What?
stitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Wait! What happened? What do you mean?
Well, yeah, it was just a tooth that died in its position, and then it had to get a root canal, and then it wasn't done right, and the whole thing ended up acting,
Oh.
and an infection went down to the bone, and then too
Oh.
much time went
Shit.
by. It's one of those things. The moral of the story is, the moment you detect you have a problem with your teeth, that's priority number one, because if you wait, then you're gonna end up, like me, getting your mouth open and
Yeah.
your bone scraped.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm so glad you're doing it right too, because I was, as
I
soon
mean,
as you started telling me about bone scraping, I'm like, oh my god.
yeah, it's taken care of. I'm good to go, basically. But so my trip was really a few things, right? The idea was the friend that invited me to go to Brazil. This is relevant to our conversation, by the way. It doesn't seem like it because we're talking about teeth. But this friend of mine, he's a entrepreneur down there. He's a businessman, and he's also a musician. And he's he was signed with Sony and stuff. And he has a crap ton of money. As a matter of fact, he paid for the whole thing. He paid for my ticket. He paid for the doctors. He paid for the hotel. And I didn't ask him. He was just like, here, you need to take care of it. I talk a lot, and I say this to people all the time about a social currency. That's what I'm talking about. Because he was a friend that cared and could, so he did. And I didn't have to
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
So and he took care of it. Obviously, I'm really grateful. But this friend of mine, and I talked about him before, in conversations that Crystal and I have had, he has worked on his fortune, on his finances, his whole life, and is somebody who has more money that he knows what to do with it. But on the other aspects of life, he has completely neglected everything. So the dude, I spent basically 7 days talking to a millionaire who is miserable about, who says I'm his only friend, who says that every single person that approaches him is for interest because they want to borrow money, and who doesn't go out of the house because it doesn't want to be seen by anybody. And this thing gave me like some sort of like, it's not that I didn't know these things because I keep on talking about them all the time, but it's more like one thing is to know them from a book or a theory that you came up with by just being reflective, and another one is to be in there. Another one is to be in a beautiful jail, because that's what it was. A beautiful penthouse with ridiculous furniture that I'll never be able to afford, with those Al Capone type cars parked outside, and you know what I mean? And and this person just telling me how they have to think every day of why they shouldn't kill themselves. And you're like, okay, so you got all this money. You this guy, if I convince him, I'm trying to like buy like $1 million worth of Steem, he could, right? It's like, oh, let's do something great in project on Steem, and he could. Yet you feel like life is not worth living, and that all the things that I have, me, little old Menno, that worries when Steem was dropping under $1.42 and was sweating bullets, that the things that I have are so much better than the ones that he does. And the worst part is that I have to agree, because if I was sitting there and you gave me the choice, what do you want? Do you want to have all this money, all this stuff, but be by yourself and never leave the house and spend, look like a ghost because you haven't seen the sun for freaking 4 or 5 months, and you have to take medicine to go to sleep, medicine to wake up, medicine for anxiety, medicine for all this stuff, but have millions of dollars in the bank? Or do you want to be this guy that spend some time with Discord, has a radio show, has a beautiful girl that he loves, and some months worries about where he's gonna pay the bills? I'll be like, yeah, option B. Fuck it, yeah, of course. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
And I'm not just saying that because I really can't make the choice. It's because I was there. It's because I freaking saw it. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. And this is to say, what you were saying earlier, like, oh, do you want to be famous? The truth is that in the pursuit of happiness, because we all have our own idea of what that is, and it's a very personal thing. You're gonna come up with your own definition of success, and you got to stick to it. But in the pursuit of that, we can't really forget the things that actually are part of our essence, are part of the core of who we are. Because if you're a musician, which is your case, whenever it is that you achieve that moment, or you say, I think I'm happy, music has to be involved. If you're a writer, you have to be writing. You can't remove these elements of your core, of the self, and think to yourself, yeah, it doesn't matter because I'm making money, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, I'm supposed to be a musician, and I'm working in an ice cream factory, but I'm making money. That's not how it happens. It's the denial of the self that leads to that depression, that leads to that
absolutely, yes,
to those days where you go like, oh, you know what, I don't know what my purpose is. Why am I waking up? And there's nothing more tragic than that shit, I have to say.
Right.
Fully agree. And no, don't worry, go on blank. So good.
No, it's so true. You hit the nail on the head. Denial of the self is what leads to depression. I talk with Clay a lot about that, because my whole life, as we talked about before, I have experienced depression and anxiety. Last couple of years, it's been mainly anxiety. And Clay always says something interesting. Depression is about, or can be about, an unresolved past. Not being able to deal with your past. I'm not saying this correctly, but something like that. And anxiety is about fears of the future. So I think because I'm experiencing anxiety more, I'm just freaking out about the future. I don't know. But if you're not in touch with who you are, if you're not doing, I would say at least 70% of the time, what you want to do, that's going to lead to depression. Of course, you're not being your true self.
I remember what I was going to say, and it's totally on point.
Yes, awesome.
Basically, I was saying I think it's one of the biggest issues with society is that so many people are in these mundane jobs that they fucking hate. That we have so many people that are angry and hostile and just over their existence, so they're dicks to everyone, and then everyone's dicks to other people they meet, and you just get this perpetual cycle of people being arse hats.
Yeah. It's true. And what I saw someone say something interesting on Steemit yesterday, similar to that, about that type of situation. Like they were referring it to as their slave job.
Hmm.
And a couple comments is that someone made. We are designed to work. We have to work. I mean, if we're not working in some
Doing
capacity,
something, yeah.
yeah, otherwise you just kind of, and you hear stuff like that when sometimes you'll hear when people retire that they die earlier rather than people that keep working in some capacity. And when I say working, I mean maybe you're working on your garden or you're working on some
For sure.
project, so you have to work, whatever that means. But yeah, if you're in a position where you have to work, the only way you can get by is to work at McDonald's, that's okay. Maybe that's not what you want to do, but you do that, you get your paycheck, and in your free time, you do what you want to do. And that is what I'm, saying is that you have to do what you want to do. And that you'll notice a lot of times with musicians and artists, there's always that combination that they have to deal with because most of us are not making a living with our music and art. So we have to do, quote, the other job. But as long as you're, in your free time still working on your music and art, I think it balances out okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's all about balance. And, obviously not everyone can realistically do their dream job. Just straight off the bat, like, I'm going to do this and be able to sustain a living. It's, not that reality, but just, yeah, making sure that you do spend your time when you can on what you love and you don't just allow yourself to be taken over by this blue collar initiative that seems to be going on.
Yeah.
You'll do much better.
Yeah, the truth of
Yeah.
the matter, that this whole thing even extends to when we get old, right? Like about doing the things that you love, or staying active, or feeling productive. Agro just was saying that if, like, old people, when they retire, a lot of them die, and that's there's statistics to this.
Right.
So this is not just you know this is not anecdotal, narrations of things that just somebody has seen. There's numbers, you can look at it, and that's why a lot of people, when they retire, they become Walmart greeters and all stuff, because they want to feel purpose.
Right.
I've said plenty of times, and I'll say it again, that I don't ever think I'm going to retire. I want to die the moment I stop feeling that I can do stuff. And when I say do stuff, is whatever it is that I'm doing at that point in time. So obviously, if I make it to 90, I'm possibly not going to be like building guitars. Maybe it depends on how strong I am. But I want to be able to have some sort of purpose. So maybe if I'm lucky enough to still be able to play instruments at that time, I'll keep on doing that. If I'm lucky enough to still be able to compose, I'll keep on doing that. If I can write, I've always wanted to write a book. Maybe I'll do that. But I do believe 100% what Agro is saying, which is the moment that you kind of turn off the switch and you say, okay, that's it, I'm done. Then why would you keep yourself alive? There is some subconscious,
Hmm.
unconscious thing that just go, okay, that's it, we're done. That our contribution to the planet is over.
And yeah, I fully agree with that one as well. My grandfather, God, he would have retired probably a good 20 plus, maybe even 30 years ago. Um, and basically, he's almost 90. And this guy uses jackhammers right on lawnmowers. He's literally still trying to rebuild his house. He's constantly adding improvements. He'll do electrical work, woodwork, anything that's required. He's like a jack of all trades, all self-taught. And I think it's that really keeps him going. And you ask him, "Oh, what are you up to?" And he's like, "Oh, always busy. I've got to do this," and just lists off like 50 jobs that he's got planned for the future. And whilst some of the Aussies who may have read my mother's posts have heard some hilarious stories about my grandfather, yeah, like he may choose odd times to do his construction work, 11 at night, that sort of thing. But, he's doing stuff, and that's the important thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like Cope was saying, it's due to a feeling of loss of purpose. which is described as the feeling of loss of life in itself. And yeah, if you don't have a sense of purpose, then that's, what do you have?
Exactly. And I mean, like, my grandfather has literally said, oh, I don't have time to die, I'm too busy. You know, like he can't stop
I
for a
love that.
minute. He had a heart
I'm gonna
attack and
quote
like
that shit.
3 days later he's out chopping down a freaking tree. You know, like he just doesn't fucking stop. It's not an option. And I wish I had that sort of determination and grit. He's just hardcore fucker.
Wow. Well, you know what? Then I feel like that's the path I'm on. If I keep up with that, maybe I'll live to be like 2000 or something. Because it's like I never have a moment to just sit down and freaking relax. It's like I love that he said that. It's like I'm too busy to die.
Yeah, I mean, like I
love it.
can't count the amount of times he said that, and it's sort of his little mantra. Like he'll be sick as he'll have a cold, and he'll just make sure he has a good cuppa before he sets off to work or have a slightly lighter day or do stuff inside if it's pissing down. And that's rating for non-Australian, sorry. But yeah, like it's really sort of shown me a way which I wish I could live. I just wish I had his energy. He's freaking ancient and he's kicking ass, but I don't know how he keeps going. It's just fucking determination, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very cool. On that same note, though, Isaria, let me ask you this regarding your songwriting. Do you do it for a sense of purpose, or you do it for some sort of like personal therapy, or is just like what is songwriting like do for you?
I have thought about this before, and I know this is going to sound horrible, but there are many times that I wish I was born a different person, and for the sake of simplicity, I will just use quotes around this. Quotes around this to say a normal person. Because
I can fully appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I am compelled to write, and it's annoying to me because I don't know what it's
annoying about that.
When you're not in control of the need, it can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
The sleepless nights, the burning eyes, the cramping hands, and it's like, but I just need to finish.
Right. Like
there's absolutely nothing annoying about that.
I guess I can't find another way to say it other than compelled. Like, the fact that I have a dream about music, and I'm compelled to get up at 4 a.m. and go record the idea because I will forget it if I don't. So, things like that. Sometimes I just, maybe the grass is always greener. Like sometimes I think, oh, how nice it would have been if I just, been born just kind of like a normal person who went to school. Maybe I went to medical school. I could be a doctor. And I love being a doctor, but then I get to come home and maybe have a hobby like gardening. I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with those things, but it's not you. That's the only reason why they're funny. But there's nothing wrong with those things.
So why do I do it? And that's just one aspect. I would say that it is therapy because every time I write something, it is a cathartic feeling. Mm-hmm. It's like I just have this huge catharsis. And it's like a big sneeze that came out, and like you were wanting to sneeze for like an hour and you couldn't get that sneeze out, and then when you finally write it, it's like I sneezed.
I relate to that.
It's that sweet relief sort of thing of
I
getting it accomplished.
Hey, listen, we're gonna run out of time, and I want to play 3 songs. That's the only rule I have. So,
all right.
So let's play the next one on the list. This one's called Descent. We're gonna play it almost right away. I'm just introducing it right now, and after that we'll come back. We'll chat a little bit about the song, and then we'll say goodnight because we got 10 minutes left, and I think the song is like 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, close to. So,
yeah, my songs are always too long as well. So.
No, who cares about that? Who cares if they're great? They're great. So don't say that like it's a negative thing. You just have a lot of emotion to convey. All right, so this song is called Descent, and it's also obviously an original by Isaria. Here we go. What a beautiful song, right?
That was freaking stunning.
Yeah, it's a stunning track, and the build-up is badass. I don't know if that was your production idea or somebody that did it with you, but the way that it kind of teases you with the explosion, like you guys were calling it, even though it's kind of weird.
The explosion.
and then katoosh, and then it just goes right into it. Is awesome. Who did that production, by the way? Did you?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I produced all that crap.
It's awesome. I have more questions, Isaria. I really have more questions. Who plays all these instruments? You play them all?
Okay, so what I did was I recorded versions of them, initial rough tracks with all the production ideas, and then went to a studio and had that came out wrong. I had studio musicians play. I had real musicians as opposed to me. No, I had studio musicians play the guitar and the drums and the bass, and I had done everything else with my production ideas, which were all from synths, and then the piano I did, and then of course the vocals. So, but I do not play drums. I play guitar, but not that great, and bass not that great. So I had those studio musicians do it at the studio.
There's one thing that you love doing. You love adding like minor modulations in the middle of progressions, and I don't know if you do that just because you have like a specific artist that you heard that before, or you just do it because you love the tension in the release. But it's almost like a signature on your songs.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because a lot of times I think of the music or I heard it in my sleep. Mm-hmm. So like I don't really have. I don't know why I do that, but but a lot of times
like you don't get a lot of say in it so much as it happens.
I don't get a say. It's I'm just receiving a message from the mothership. No, I don't know.
You know what? Bob Dylan would agree with you. They asked him once. They asked him because, as you know, Bob Dylan has. I don't even know at this point how many songs that have charted, and how many songs he's written. He's got the record. That's all I know of the amount of songs he's released. So at some point in time, a reporter asked him, "It's like, how do you do it? How do you write so many songs?" And his reply was kind of clever. He said, "Well, you got it all wrong. I don't write songs. I write them down." Which it was such a clever way
of beautifully poetic.
That is really beautiful.
Well, Bob is the man.
Yeah.
Bob is the man. I have to admit that when I was young, I didn't appreciate him because his voice is so terrible, and it still is.
But, right. But his songs,
Yeah, but then all of a sudden...
He's a poet.
Yeah, all of a sudden what ended up happening is I would hear a song, and it was like, man, that's a great freaking song. And it's like, oh yeah, it's a Bob Dylan cover. Like somebody doing Bob Dylan. It's like, oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then a year later, oh, that's a great song. Oh, that's also Bob Dylan. Oh wow.
Yeah, I did a Bob Dylan cover for a record label who they were putting out a compilation CD to celebrate Bob Dylan, and they wanted to choose songs that weren't really as well known, and they gave me a list, and I chose Masters of War, and I did, and the point of it was to do really take the song and change it up. So I did a kind of like the songs that you've heard here, kind of like a Isaria version of this Bob Dylan song, Masters of War, which I really enjoyed doing. It's a great song.
We actually are running out of time, ladies. We are running out of time, so I have to say goodnight. I just messaged Ron to let him know that it's just one second, because I'm not even going to I wasn't even going to get in a good night. You know, it's supposed to be over. So one more minute. And all I'm going to say is, of course, thank you guys for coming to the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. Thank you so much, Isaria, for being with me tonight, for doing this show with me and Crystal. I knew it was going to be fun. I knew it was going to be great. I just know how great it was going to be. I love the music. I loved our conversations. And I know one day in the future we're going to do this one more time.
Yeah.
If you are listening on Steam and you're listening to the recording, you get to miss out, because after we do these shows, after we have these conversations and we finish the recordings, we usually do some pirate. And I don't know, sometimes that last hour, sometimes it lasts, record times. Like Rondon, I think he has the current record with like 9-hour pirate. I doubt we're gonna do 9 hours. But
I made 8 hours once.
Yeah, that gets really
Had
crazy.
to go beat it, didn't ya?
Exactly. But if you are listening on Steam, you get to miss out on the pirate. We're gonna call this show officially done. Once again, thank you for listening. I am going to kill the recording. Love you all. And this is Menno signing out.